What is up, my friends? Your weekend has officially started, and as always, you are very welcome along to today's Anfield Agenda News Roundup. Now, I know Connor touched on the Dominic Szoboszlai story this morning, but there's a lot in that article that I wanted to bring to your attention that I think Connor didn't get around to covering. So I'm going to give you some of the interesting tidbits from that Paul Joyce piece on Dominic Szoboszlai. We're also going to be talking about all of football maybe moving towards one platform. You heard me right, all of football in Europe on one platform. I'll give you the details on that one in a moment, as well as a Premier League club who could be moving away from their historical colours next season. More on that in a moment. As always though, my friends, I want to know your thoughts, so do let me know in the comment section. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and there won't be a late night agenda tonight, but fear not, we will be putting out the preview for the Nottingham Forest game. That'll be coming out at about 8:30 this evening. Right, so we're going to start off with the story I told you about a Premier League club maybe moving away from their historical colours. And this piece in the Times said Newcastle United are planning a significant departure from their traditional black and white stripes for their home kit next season. Now, are they going to go kind of Barcelona-y here and change the stripes into hoops? Are they going to go half and half? I don't really know, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. And of course, we'll bring you further information on that as and when we see any leaks to it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, Thiago Alcantara. Didn't expect to be speaking about him in today's video, but Liverpool have confirmed midfield maestro Thiago Alcantara returns to Anfield for his Legends debut. And you can get your tickets on the official club website there for the Reds Legends game. Right, so let's get to that story where I told you potentially all of football, or at least all of the top 5 leagues in Europe, could be moving to one platform. The Touchline report, they say exclusive, a large international media company is working behind the scenes on a network where EU citizens will be able to watch the top 5 leagues and the UEFA competitions all with the same platform. The project is complicated, they say, for the short term due to the current licensing and exclusivity agreements, but the goal is to move to a more unified football model by 2035. Look, I hope this can happen. I really, really do. Because the idea of all of us being able to watch all of the top 5 leagues and all of the games, as well as UEFA competitions, the Europa League, Conference League, Champions League. I mean, sign me up for that. They don't say how much such a project might cost or what type of fees the punters may have to pay, but I tell you what, I would be well on board with that one, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll keep an eye on it for you. If we get more information, we'll bring it to you. But let me know your thoughts on that one. All of the top 5 leagues in Europe on one platform? Yes, please. Right, a survey from Men in Blazers, they say that Liverpool are the most supported Premier League side in the United States of America with 22% of the audience. Next comes Arsenal second with 16% and Chelsea third with 13%. It is really, really unusual to see no Manchester United in there. I mean, if you go to most countries in the world and you were to divide up the fan base, you would say Manchester United would be in there in the top 3. Certainly here in Ireland they would be. It would be Manchester United and Liverpool, kind of, I wouldn't say 50-50 because there are other supporters as well, but that was an interesting insight there from that Men in Blazers bit of reporting. Right, gonna move on to the Paul Joyce piece now with Dominic Szoboszlai, and it's really interesting. There's a few bits that Connor may have touched on, but there's some really juicy details that I wanted to bring to your attention that shows you quite how Dominic became the footballer he is. So the first part I want to bring to you is Szoboszlai is often heard chatting with Milos Kerkez about the fact the Champions League final will be played in Budapest in May, and it's clear that they want to be part of that showpiece event. I mean, it would be absolutely wonderful for both of them. I know they both suffered heartbreak at the hands of Ireland. Let's just all take a moment for that one, because it's not very often I, as an Irish football fan, get to gloat about anything. But we did go over there, get the job done against Hungary, but the boys want to make sure that they can deliver something back to their Hungarian football fans. And of course, I wouldn't be against Liverpool being in a Champions League final in Budapest in May, so fingers crossed that can become a reality. Also in this piece from Paul Joyce, he writes, internally at Anfield, there was never any sense that Dominic Szoboszlai would find himself sitting on the outside looking in following the arrival of Florian Wirtz as a more offensive-minded number 10. Slot has always valued the qualities of a player he described, drawing out every syllable for extra emphasis as unbelievable at one point last season, and it's difficult to envision a scenario where Szoboszlai would be willingly omitted from his starting 11. And I can't imagine that scenario either. Whether you're playing him at right back, whether you're playing him as a number 8, whether you're playing him as a number 10, whether you're playing him in a wide area, we all want to see Dominic Szoboszlai's name on that Liverpool team sheet. Now, this is some of the interesting tidbits that I was talking about. In this piece, he said, Szoboszlai offered reassurance to Florian Wirtz during the 22-year-old's first months at the club and stressed that the difficulties he was experiencing were completely normal. Szoboszlai remembered his own first season and how he'd run more than ever in the German Bundesliga, that there were more duels and less time on the ball in the Prem. He relayed all of that to Florian Wirtz and stressed that he would soon find his rhythm. And I think it's fair to say he is starting to find that rhythm. Now, about Dominic Szoboszlai being used to success, and that he is. In every season in his career, Dominic Szoboszlai has won something. The Austrian Bundesliga during his first campaign at Red Bull Salzburg, successive German Cups at RB Leipzig, and the Carabao Cup in his debut season at Anfield, as well, of course, as winning the Premier League last season. So you can see it's no harm having people in the squad like that want to go through every season and pick up a bit of silverware. It is a very interesting statistic, and again, one that I hope he can keep going. So here's hoping to do a bit of silverware this year, and of course here's hoping to Dominic Szoboszlai being a huge part of that success. Now, there's been some interesting parts in it about the coaching and the way his father helped bring him through. One of the things they spoke about was dribbling through bottles with no water in them, so they're easy to knock over, and if he dribbled through them and knocked one down, he'd have to start again. But the part that I wanted to bring to you, my favourite part of it, was his father Zolt making him train while holding golf balls to stop him grabbing shirts to hold off opponents, as he would rely on this technique and balance instead. They do go on to make a very good point in the piece about the, shall we say, interesting little battle with Erling Braut Haaland that seen both of them stumble and fall over, and Manchester City's ruled out third goal against the Reds. But there you can see these little details of what makes Dominic Szoboszlai. His father making him have golf balls in his hands so he couldn't grab shirts. He'd have to use his own balance and his own strength to get out of these sticky situations. Dribbling through bottles of water, but empty bottles, making sure that if he knocked them over, it'd be a lot easier than if there was water in them. It would take a bit more of a heavy contact. All of these things are what makes the ABCs of Dominic Szoboszlai, and what are turning him into, in my opinion, the closest thing to Steven Gerrard I've seen since Stevie G hung up his Liverpool shirt, and a more than able deputy to that number 8. Here's hoping that Dom does sign a new deal. Of course, we know the club are in talks with himself, Alexis McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch overextending their contracts, which end in 2028. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone through quite a bit there, but that is it for now. A reminder, no late night agenda tonight, but we will be here with the preview for the Nottingham Forest game. The Reds travel down to take on Forest at the City Ground in a 2 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, meaning we'll be live here from 12:45. Until then, have a wonderful Friday. I'll be back live tomorrow. I'll see you then. Much love. Bye-bye.